Quick announcement before the beginning of this video. My collab unit, Chopin, my second ever collaboration, is available at Can Jam SoCal for demo. So if you're gonna be at that event, show up at booth E3. They'll be there with the Hi-Fi Go and Tangsu team. If you do end up getting a chance to try it, please leave your impression of it down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you guys think of the new collab. Now, on to the video. The best queen of audio IEM out there in the market right now, the Aviation, a straight upgrade to the Vesper, the Pink Lady, and the previous best, the Adonis. Yes, this is even better than the Margarita, than the Mojito. This is QA's #1. But despite that, does it compete with other IEMs in the same price bracket? The $200 to $300 is highly competitive. In today's video, we'll find out that answer. Hey friends, Timmy here. Welcome back to another video on Gears Audio. Today we have a review of the Aviation by Queen of Audio. This thing is tuned similar to the Pink Lady, the Vesper, and the Adonis, but less warm and also more mid-range as well, leading this to have a more natural sound and I would say more correct sound, and also less congestion as well, more open signature if you will. Detail wise, I would say this is better than the Vesper and the Pink Lady and a small improvement over the Adonis. Sound signature wise, you can call this a mild V shape. It has decent amount of bass, it has a lot of mid treble, not a lot of treble air. The mid range on this is also not recessed enough for me to call it a full-fledged V shape, just mild V shape due to the amount of treble that it has. Now let's talk about the bass first. Bass quantity is decent, though if you call yourself a bass head, I don't think this amount of bass would satisfy you, but it's a good amount of bass. It's not in a territory where I would call neutral. It's definitely boosted, though not boosted as much as bass head would like it to be boosted. Bass quality wise is rather decent. It's not blunted, it's not pillowy, it's satisfying enough for me to enjoy it, though it's not the best that I've heard. So I would say this lands in the average to good territory when it comes to bass. Mid-range wise, for a V-shape style IEM, the Aviation does a very good job. Vocals sound correct for the most part. Not like the Vesper, Pink Lady, or Adonis where you get a little bit too warm, a little bit too congested. The Aviation does not have that. It has a nice natural warmth to it without introducing any form of congestion. It doesn't feel restricted. It still feels rather open. It's not recessed to the point where the bass and the treble overwhelms the mid-range. It's a well done mid-range, especially for a V-shaped style IEM. Next is the treble area, and the Aviation has a lot of mid treble, and depending on who you ask, they'll give you one of two answers. One is that it's too much, it could be fatiguing, or number two is extra crispy sounding, more details. So depending on your tolerance of treble, you're gonna fall into one of these camps. For me, I fall right around in between. I do feel like it adds some extra crispiness to some songs, but after a while of listening to the Aviation, I do feel it can get a little hot, a little bit fatiguing. Not to the point where I'd want to take the Aviations off, but I do feel like if you are sensitive to treble, this might give you some trouble. Now, what does give me trouble 100% is the upper treble. There's just not a lot of it there, so a lot of micro nuances are just not well represented. So songs do feel like it lacks some details that should be there. Leading us into technical performance, I would give the Aviation slightly bit above the Aria. The mid treble does give it some extra crispiness, which helps overall, but the lack of extension is where it really starts to suffer. So a little bit above average in terms of technicalities. Within the price range of $200 to $300 though, I would say it doesn't really compete well in this department. Lastly, we have comparison, and I picked the Yume 2 and Performer 5 for this video. Both of these IEMs are some of the best you can grab at $200 right now, and the Aviation has to at least measure up to these two to compete. Now in terms of details, we already discussed that the Aviation doesn't really measure up with the top 5, top 10 IEMs in this price bracket. What about tuning? Now the tuning of the Aviation is nice, but I don't think it is as nice as the Yume 2 or Performer 5, both of which are also going for a mild V-shaped kind of signature. Both of them have quite a bit of treble and quite a bit of bass as well. In that respect, those two does a better job than the Aviation overall. Now the biggest advantage that the Performer 5 and Yume 2 have over the Aviation, as you may guess, is the treble area. It's just more balanced and more natural sounding over there. It's not harsh, it's not piercing in any way. It's natural, smooth treble for both the Yume 2 and Performer 5. Yume 2 might have slightly bit too much treble for some, but never really in a territory that potentially is annoying like it could be for Aviation here. The mid treble here is a lot and it is an acquired taste. It's not the safest purchase. The Yume 2 and Performer 5 are rather safe purchases. Bass quality and mid-range quality wise, I would say the Aviation stacks up just fine with the Yume 2 and the Performer 5. The only downside to Aviation is, again, that treble. It's just not as natural sounding. And treble affects more things than some of you guys might know. It affects things like details and timbre, especially in the timbre. The P5 and Yume 2 sounds more natural, sound more realistic than on the Aviation. Not to say the Aviation sounds bad, it's just with tough competitions like Yume 2 and P5, the Aviation just doesn't stack up quite yet. Alright, that is it for this video today. My final verdict for the Aviation is a yellow. Yes, it doesn't compete with Yume 2 or Performer 5 within the price, but it's still not a bad IEM. If you are coming from the Vesper, the Pink Lady, or the Adonis, you really like this signature and you want something better, you want a straight upgrade, then this one, a straight upgrade to those three IEMs that you like. But other than that, I still recommend the Yume 2 and Performer 5 for the money. With that all being said, thank you so much for watching this video all the way till the end. I will see you guys in the next video very, very soon. Peace out. Bye.